And now I really come to the very last presentation of our conference, and I give the floor to Ingrida Wilkere, who is my deputy, who is responsible for the educational program in our commission and for many other issues. I know when I need a support, there she is, ready to help me. And her presentation is going to deal on teaching methods, maybe not those in class, but out of class teaching methods, some informal education. The International Commission for the Evaluation of Nazi and Soviet occupational regimes in Lithuania tries to come up with the different ways that are suggested to young people and their teachers. Good afternoon. I'm so happy to see you in the hall. I'm surprised to see you in the hall. Well, of course, we are tired, and I remember Dr. Runa Streikus yesterday said that since I am the last, I must be very brief. So I'm saying I am the last, so I will try to be very brief indeed. My presentation is going to deal with the issues mainly interested to teachers, to practical people, and I want to explain the philosophy of our commission, because we believe that the philosophy helps to tell and explain what our commission does. Well, of course, the commission covers a broad period, the period that is even broader than the term indicated in the title of our conference. So I'll try to just suggest a few things what can be done by teachers at schools. Yes, we know that there are historians that study or make research into history. I'm mainly responsible for coordination of different projects and programs, and I am used to different conferences where my audience are teachers, and I try to suggest what to do, what issues to select, and how to explain things. Then again, having said the word I try to suggest, I don't mean suggest, I really mean just advise or recommend. At the same time, we want teachers to know the results of researchers, because the researchers do a lot, and the researchers that analyze totalitarian regimes come up with very good results, and those results must be presented to the students. Now, he or she is a student. In several years' time, the same individual will be a fully fledged member of our society. Yaroslav really mentioned that education and teaching is one of the key things in our activity. I do agree with you, Yaroslav, because we must think about who is going to live in our society in the future, and I think that the values are very important, and we must develop them in our students. Now again, the International Commission, it aims to evaluate the periods of the Nazi and Soviet occupations. And then again, education, this is again one of our targets. We have target groups, and the target group for us are young people, that is school students and university students. And in order to achieve our goals, we have have prepared the program for the development of totalitarian regime prevention and of tolerance. So the program, what does it aim at? Well, yes, it aims at developing mature individuals, responsible individuals, the ones that would be real representatives of civil society. So an individual must be able to have a critical eye and to be able to analyze history. Then again, a history cannot be learned. A history must be comprehended. I'm a teacher in my heart, and I know that you must not teach something for a future test. You must get onto the heart and soul of your pupil so that he really knows and is capable of analyzing himself or herself. So then again, comprehension is very important. Being able to assess and evaluate, that is as important, because a teacher just sows a seed and then that young person will be a teacher after some time and again will seed his own seed again. Then development of tolerance is very, very important. Tolerance being one of those general values so particularly important to our societies, and we teach young people. The program has a very, very long name, but I'll tell you just about the principles, not repeating the name. So that is value relation, which is very important. When we talk to teachers, we try to explain that interdisciplinary things are very important. Links between history and the Lithuanian language, the English language and history again, or between languages, etc. So that the interdisciplinary view is very, very helpful to both teachers and students. And I think that students really are very creative. Teachers are very creative. So again, a drop of an idea, and then it can develop. So that's what I want to say about so many various techniques and measures that can be used. We must be able to encourage our students to reason and to find answers for themselves. You know, there were people that were just victimized, so some were victims of the Soviet regime, while others chose another way. They went to live in the forest and to fight openly against this with the Soviet regime. So then again, we must be able to use the memories of the survivors, let's say, and anything that is registered, recorded, or written and oral memory is very important. So then again, students must be exposed not only to textbooks and teacher stories, they must be able to touch and to see that that is the reality. Then again, we know that students have lots of things to study, but I think that films, movies, witness testimonies, and I know that going to museums is very helpful too, and this is much easier for students to remember. Therefore, informal development, or that is out-of-school activity becomes very, very important. And I know that there are lots of teachers who are very good at really creating or drawing up very interesting projects, actions, activities, and sometimes it is really quite cheap, but the idea is huge behind it. And then teamwork. Teamwork is very important. One can do something, but several people can do a lot. I know that there are students that like to be alone and then they feel they can do a lot. But my experience shows that when we have teams of students, they are much, much better. Maybe, well, then teachers also find it much easier to work in teams. Now, the trends of our program. We've got, you see, 4 trends. First and foremost, it is education of teachers in Lithuania and abroad. Then development of centers of tolerance. And we have, like thinkers, those set up centers of tolerance across Lithuania. And I know that there are different issues that are particularly focused on in different centers of tolerance. Now, the third trend of ours is marking Remembrance Days, for example. That is just a practical activity. For example, we may have discussions on certain days, like discussions on tolerance and other ideas. And then, of course, methodology is very important too. What I want to underline is that our seminars do not always go to nice conference halls. We try to be in the open air or just small towns, because teachers find it quite difficult to come to Vilnius. We want to be close to teachers, therefore we make local seminars then. During seminars, we very often go to places that are related to tolerance and to victims. What you see here is Jonas Kadžionis. He was deported and he was what we call forest brother. So really he was the active resistant to the Soviet regime in the post-war period, and it is very important to talk to such a person. Having listened to what Jonas said and having seen the graves, one teacher said that she really knew already what she wanted to do with her pupils. The graves here are of young people, because the people buried there were born in 1923, 1920, so the young people died, they were killed after the Second World War when they resisted the Soviet regime. And new methodologies can be born at such, let me call them, seminars. When I look at the faces here, I see a number of people that work in the centers of tolerance in Lithuania. We have like a club of people, club of thinkers alike. I have Kėdainiai, a very active city, Šiauliai district, Kaunas, Vilnius, of course. Klaipėda is very active, to Telšiai. So you have towns and cities in Lithuania with several centers of tolerance. Those cooperate and they think of very various activities. And what we want to do is promote their cooperation. Now, extracurriculum activity is very important. We are the 2 days, that is the 13th of January, the day of the defenders of Lithuania's freedom, and June the 14th is the day of hope. We call it hope, but that was the day when deportation started in Lithuania in 1941. Of course, you can have very different ideas as to how those days can be commemorated, but at 7:50 in the morning on the 13th of January, candles are lit, and there are 10 minutes of candlelight that you can see through the window. So whatever the lesson, it may be a maths or an English class, but teachers and students remember what the 13th of January means, and then there is a message to everybody. You see, a school here, it is not only a grand idea, it is a unifying factor. It started in one school in Panevėžys, and last year over 1,000 schools did the same. We have got 1,500 schools throughout Lithuania, and just for comparison again, and 1,000 lit their windows with candles. And now we have already noticed that candles are lit at the time in schools, yes, but in offices as well as residential houses. If everybody knows what happened on the 13th of January, that's good, because that is maintenance of historical memory. Now, again, the 14th of June, since the majority of you are Lithuanians, so you know that this is the day marked in Lithuania very widely. The office of the Seimas itself, then the Ministry of National Defense, then you have the number of public authorities and organizations that contribute to this initiative. But we start with April, then we go on in May with this idea. A student cannot be impacted on one day only. He must be prepared for the very highlight, the 14th of June. Of course, each year we have a different different initiative. So children would be bored if we repeated the same initiative every year. What you see here is called the civic initiative paths of deportations. We encourage our students to read testimonies or just books of former detainees. Let's say we are in Jurbarkas and students discuss where people from Jurbarkas were deported to Siberia, Russia, where to, the names of those places. Some schools invited former deportees or former political prisoners, and the political prisoners pointed to the place where they were deported, and they told about it. So that was their face-to-face experience, and I think that was a live lesson of history. I say Ronaldas is still he allows me to continue speaking, so all right, I will tell you that I am a teacher at a school, and it is a bilingual school. My school is Lithuanian and Polish, and I teach the Lithuanian language. I remember a lesson when we were speaking about deportations of 1940-1941. My students were with lots of people in a huge event, which was a long event for some 4 or 5 hours. We were discussing deportations. We had lots of paintings, and then of course we had to clean everything up. And I remember very well my students saying that, yes, now we will remember what happened in June 1941. You know what my feeling was? I felt ashamed because I already had a number of classes. I told them about the deportations, but it's very different for a young person to listen and to experience, and now I know for certain that my students will always know and understand what deportation means. So again, I want to underline this initiative that is Train of Destinies. It is the initiative to put hands on the idea of deportation. We tried to make wooden and paper trains to demonstrate how people were being deported. And here you see names of places, towns or regions: Tyumen, Krasnoyarsk, Irkutsk. And I think that again the students will remember very well the places and the deportations. What you see here is the initiative Bird of Hope. We have 2 colors here, white and black. Children tried to gather testimonies they talked to the people, former deportees. those are live lessons, and I do believe that they are very impressive, and I know that my students will always remember and understand it. And just I shared with you a few methodologies that we employ, and that is our philosophy. Thank you.